I'm Cristina Escobar, the Director of Communications and Marketing for Casa de Esperanza. We're here with three amazing representatives from our organization, and I'd love for you each to start off by describing the work of Casa de Esperanza, how many years you've been involved, what you do, and why it's particularly important that Casa is a Latina-led organization, and why that's meaningful to you.
I'm Sandy Vargas. I am the chair of the Casa de Esperanza board. I have been with the board, I think a little bit over 3 years this time. I was on earlier. This is a very, very exciting time for Casa de Esperanza. I just have to say that I am thrilled to be part of an organization that is Latina-led, national, and is doing groundbreaking work against domestic violence, sexual assault, and other violence in our Latino community.
My name is Sarai. Last name is Mateo. I'm the shelter manager here at Casa de Esperanza. I've been with Casa de Esperanza for close to 6 years now. And what I like about the organization being Latina-led is that we're part of the community and we assist and support our community. So being able to assist people who look like me, who speak Spanish, who I can relate to culturally means a lot to me. And being able to assist those families to thrive, it's what keeps me in the organization.
Hi, my name is Nayeli Castro Montoya, and I am the youth coordinator. I have been at Casa de Esperanza coming up to 7 years. I started off as a youth peer educator when I was 17 years old. So I've been here longer than 7 years. But I think that similar to what Sarai said, seeing somebody in leadership that looked like me, that had similar experiences like me, that understood my experiences and validated, my feelings, my experiences, just my whole being, was really important. And I think that's part of the reason why I stayed and I'm still here. And so I think, it's the Latina leadership is so important. I think that, our community, our youth leaders need to see us in leadership so that they can see themselves in leadership positions. I think we're very aware that our staff and our colleagues are part of the communities that we work with. And so to create change, we're also creating changes within our own families. And what we bring in our personal lives and what we hear in our communities, we also bring it to Casa de Esperanza, because we're very much part of that community. I have 5 nieces. I just had a son and he's the first boy. And there's so many comments of like, oh my God, you have it easy. It's so much easier to raise a boy. But because I've been doing this work, I ask myself, I'm like, is it really? It's not. It's just as hard. It's just there's different challenges to creating a boy versus a girl, but it's still as difficult. And we need to step away from comments like that. And so we begin with challenging them at home, and then challenging them in the work. So I think that's what's really unique about Casa de Esperanza is that we what we're doing in other communities, we're also bringing it to our own communities and our own families.
I think the stigma of domestic violence is really hard to eliminate. I think there's a huge amount of shame, that victims of domestic violence feel, even though, and it's what the system has done over, a long period of time. I mean, it's now starting to recognize the fact that victims need help. But there has been a huge amount of shame heaped on women in particular about domestic violence. And I mean, it wasn't so long ago that, some were asking, what did these women do to bring it on? And we've got to just eliminate that stigma and that shame from how people feel about it. But I think what my colleagues have said too, it's like, you know, it's like we want our families to stay together. We just want the violence. We want the domestic violence to go away. So how do we, you know, and our system makes us choose between one extreme or the other. Either we stay in, the abuse continues, or we have to call the police. There's no middle ground there. And it's like, what can happen? Although I think that CASA, you know, as they think about what the community experiences, can start creating, you know, some thought processes that create more of a middle ground. I know that we also work in the policy area, and our voice is heard nationally at the highest levels. So I'm hoping that, you know, there might be some other solutions that will help us find middle ground that may not take us to one extreme or the other.